I was watching a documentary about sex trafficking of children. They were focusing on Thailand and Cambodia, and then after that started talking about sex trafficking of children in the United States. And I had no idea that this was happening here. And what I found was that the problem in the United States is significant and the resources were few, especially in the Midwest and in the St. Louis metro area. And in November of 2009, the Covering House became incorporated. Then in August of 2010, we received our 501c3 tax-exempt status. The board of directors and I actively started to raise funds and awareness in the community about this issue. In 2010, we had our first race for refuge. At our very first race, we had 120 participants. We raised about $17,000. This has been our most significant fundraiser. As our awareness grew and we became more involved in the community and providing education, then we started seeing that people were calling us and saying, hey, I've got this client. Are your services open? And unfortunately, I would have to say, no, we're not at that place yet, but we're moving towards that.
They hadn't started any of their client services. That was my position that I was brought on to do. So I started in October, and then we started outpatient clients.
And in January of 2013, we saw our first client. In 2013, we had a fundraising event where I met a couple who had a home.
They needed that 24-hour care. They needed people that are going to be in their lives for months at a time. They needed someone that's going to be there in the middle of the night, not just once a week for counseling.
They said, well, we might have something that you might be interested in. Would you like to come and look at it?
When we were back in the car and we asked Dee Dee, we said, what was your vision? And she said, this was it.
And so I asked, I said, how much are you looking to rent this for? Are you looking to sell it? We want to rent it. I said, okay, how much are you looking to rent it for? And they kind of shrugged, I don't know, $1 a year. And I thought, okay, we wrote a check for $5, signed, locked in for 5 years right away, and they have been fantastic landlords.
All of the resources we needed just started kind of flowing in.
I had looked online, they hadn't opened the house yet. They had a wish list of things that, when the house opened, that the girls would need. I went and bought a lot of the simple things that we take for granted every day.
Women in a Sunday school class that knew that they were good at hospitality, and they developed a whole welcome home program. So our girls, whenever they walk into the house, they have a welcome home banner, they have a welcome home basket sitting on their bed, and they get whatever their favorite meal is, the team cooks that for them that first week there.
One of the things that became really apparent that we needed at the home was a great security system.
I wrote a book on manhood, and I just had this idea that, okay, what if the proceeds from this book could all go to helping these women? And so we were able to write a check for $15,000 that enabled the Covering House to have a security system at their house. It's one of the milestones of my Christian life.
And in September of 2014, we welcomed our first girl into our home.
We do a holistic approach, and so the idea is that we look at each client individually and try to offer them any service that she would need. So that's everything from looking at it from a clinical standpoint, from individual therapy, group therapy, life skills classes, independent living. Some of our girls will be going directly to living on their own, as well as looking at how are we going to reconnect them. So some of that is supportive adults programs for their parents and guardians, family therapy so they can get acclimated back into society, as well as the education component, helping them recover credits, offering them tutoring, doing anything they need so that they can be successful once they leave our program.
We also do family night where they just sit at the table together and they engage in games and activities like that, like a family would. We also have an arts and creative expressions class, and so during that class they kind of explore everything from art to drama to poetry to photography. And one of the girls this week, she specifically had a really few rough weeks when she came, and she sat down and she said, Miss Annie, this is making a difference. I feel like I'm changing.
Some of the partnerships that we've really been intentional with is the St. Louis City Police Department. They asked us if we'd be willing to make it a required course for all of the St. Louis Police Academy. So it was close to 900 officers. We did it twice, just sometimes 3 times a week from August until December. Now police officers are calling us. We're working hand in hand with them. They're responding differently when they run across a girl who's a runaway. knowing that there's a potential, that there's some red flags there for trafficking.
Our partnership with Cardinal Glen is solidified in 2015.
Let us take care of these girls. Let us take care of their post-injury care. We'll evaluate them. We'll treat them. If they need subspecialty care, we're going to take care of everything for them.
They treat them for hours sometimes at little to no cost to us.
We were asked to be a recipient of a Cardinal Wives event that raises funds for different organizations around the St. Louis area.
Something that I feel like a lot of people are uncomfortable with because it's such a horrible situation that you don't want to necessarily believe that women and children are going through this like right where you live.
There was a volunteer. She was the sister of somebody who had been brought out. Hearing her just explain what her sister had gone through and what her family on the other side, what her family had experienced, the pain, that's when it was real.
If you have any time, talent, treasure that you think we could put to use, we definitely could.
It really is a combination of being able to do something that I love, something that I'm good at, something that it comes naturally to me, and combining that with something that really does break my heart. I wanted to donate my services for graphic design help whenever they needed it. But it has been really great just to see it then being used out in the marketplace for their events.
I'm always get asked the question, how can I get involved? What can I do to help? To volunteer, you can go on our website, fill out a volunteer application. And if I'm going to be perfectly honest, we need money. We need to expand our services.
Covering House is only one of its kind in this region. I encounter victims of sex trafficking at least once a month. In the state of Missouri, just for sex trafficking, we don't even have 20 beds.
If we could help girls from start to finish, this is what it would look like. We need emergency medical clinic. We need a crisis shelter, which would house the girls from anywhere from a week to 3 months until we can get stabilization in place and assess them. And then we need additional long-term housing where we could place girls to go through our long-term therapeutic home and our program there for a year. Those who might not need that housing, then the next step would be foster care. Let me give you a glimpse into the life of one of our girls. She was trafficked maybe over the course of 3 or 4 months. She kept count of the number of men over the course of about 3 months that she had to provide services to, and it was 276 men.
It sends a real clear message to the world, to the perpetrators, to the victims, no more. We're going to take a stand for justice and mercy.
I unashamedly am asking you to invest in the Covering House and help us help these girls. We need partners who can write a check for $5,000, $10,000, $50,000, $100,000. Right now we have 5 girls we are capacity, and we have a waiting list. We're barely scratching the surface of helping girls who have experienced this kind of evil and this kind of trauma. I need you to help us by supporting us financially. We need help to help these girls.